Hey there, happy Friday, fellow Texans. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome. I am your host, James Parker. Let's get some ugly stuff out of the way before we end the show with fun stuff. And by fun stuff, I have a huge guest for you coming up in the last hour of the James Show. I usually don't even tell you what I'm doing at 4 o'clock because most days you don't care. But today you're going to care. We have comedy, Saturday Night Live, movie legend. Rob Schneider is going to be joining us for the whole last hour of the show? Holy crap. So stick around for that. And if you can't, come back and check out the podcast or the video or whatever you do to watch this show in a time-delayed manner. So a lot of fun stuff. He'll be playing Name That Artist with us. So we got a special episode here. But let's get the serious stuff out of the way first. Because yesterday, the phones were jammed. Completely jammed. And I mean, all of our lines had someone waiting on them for the entirety of the 3-hour show based on that press conference that happened yesterday. And now that we've all had a little bit of time to digest it, I think we're going to make a little bit better analysis, not just from your host here, but, the people that call in, you in the audience. You've had a little more time to think about it, to sleep on it. And so we do need to continue that discussion because it is not over. Now, since the James Show ended yesterday, we actually had a little bit of movement on this story, and not in a good way. You remember that the dad showed up. Austin Metcalf's father showed up he's the father of the kid that got stabbed in the heart at the Frisco track meet. They had the press conference for the team that is behind the guy who did the stabbing, allegedly, reportedly, whatever. And the dad showed up. Now, when the dad was first, the day of his son being stabbed to death, the news went out and they put a microphone in front of his face. And I think we were all kind of shocked at how deferential he was about how he said, I immediately forgive the guy and just hope we can just all get past this and the pain stops for all families involved and whatever. But he came out and his first reaction was to forgive the guy. Now, as a Christian, that's what you're supposed to do. I don't know if I could do that. My Christianity has not been perfected or even close to it. But even I was floored at how almost saintly the dad's reaction to it was. So rest assured that if you're having a press conference right after you kill my son, you probably don't want me at this press conference. But Metcalf did not seem like he was much of a threat. Now, at the press conference, they said, we're not coming out until this guy leaves. So they asked him to leave. He didn't want to leave. Until the guy who owned the place said, yeah, we don't want you here, so technically it's trespassing. You might want to go ahead and go. So he did. Now, when the press conference started, the same level of deference was not given back to the father. It wasn't like, well, he just lost his son. He's about to bury one of his own kids, something no parent should have to do. And, it's kind of hard to judge somebody when you're in that state. I can't imagine what he's going through. That's not what they said. Dominic Alexander said that was completely disrespectful to the family. Really? You're going to criticize him for that?
And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later.
So it don't be asked later.
That was disrespectful and just shows you all the character.
All right, just stop it right there. That shows you the character. So he's impugning the dad's character. The dad who just lost a son. You're going to question his character for showing up at a press conference. And he's been nothing but nice. He's already forgiven your son. He did it on the first day. In fact, he's too pacifist for my liking. I wish he was more of a problem. I'd be raising a stink if that was my kid. He seems to be taking a higher road than I would. He's a better person than me. That's for sure. And you're going to criticize him for that? You're not going to say, man, I can't imagine what he's going through. He just lost a kid. He probably doesn't even understand how that's disrespectful, or probably I can understand why his judgment would be clouded and it would be perceived that way or misperceived that way or whatever. No deference there. No empathy, party of empathy, no empathy there. Just that was disrespectful. And number two, I don't care what people perceive as respectful or disrespectful. Unless I'm actually trying to be disrespectful. But I've gotten this criticism a lot. People say, well, what you said is completely disrespectful. Well, if that's what it's perceived to be at, then you're wrong. So you need to get over it. And what level of respect does he owe you? Your kid stabbed his kid in the heart and killed him over a seating arrangement. So maybe respect's not really in order yet. Maybe if we go through that whole due process and he's found innocent, maybe you can make a claim. Anyway, so he didn't stop there. He didn't just impugn the man's character, say, oh, that was disrespectful. He kept going, playing the race card and whatever else, just trying to stir up antipathy for the father of the guy who got his son killed. Go ahead, Dominic.
Who is not invited, he knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family. But he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah, you kicked him out. You kicked your actions. You don't know what he was going to do. He's probably such a nice guy, he was going to forgive you or tell the mom, like, listen, this isn't on you. I can't imagine what you must be going through. I know I'm going through hell. This must be pretty bad for you. He may have been there to pass off an olive branch. Y'all didn't even wait around to find out. You didn't even ask him. You just got him kicked out, and then you impugned his character, and now you're going to play the race card, and it doesn't end there.
Okay? What he has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism.
How do you know? He hasn't been talking. Do you know if he's been talking to any political operatives? Do you know if he's a registered Republican or Democrat? Did he call the James Show? Is that what he did? Did he call Ken Paxton or some other influencer? Has he been chatting with Steven Crowder on the side? You have no idea what his motivation was there. You don't know. You didn't ask. You didn't bother to find out. You're just going to assume something negative, say it in the microphone like it's a given fact. And now what happens to the guy? He got swatted last night from WFAA.
An update on the deadly stabbing in Frisco. Frisco police just confirmed a swatting call was made tonight to an address belonging to the victim's father. Now that's a prank call designed to bring a lot of police to a scene. Tonight, Jeff Metcalf confirms to WFAA he wasn't home when it happened, but he did arrive about 5 minutes later. Now, this is new information, and right now we're working to learn more details.
Yeah, that's all the details you need to know. Can y'all just leave this man alone? You already killed this kid. You kicked him out of a press conference, embarrassingly, without even asking him what his situation is or what he's there for, or if he was doing an olive branch, or maybe this could have been a moment where you saw the white community, black community shaking hands over an incident and bringing us all together. But you didn't want that. That doesn't help you out, does it, Dominic Alexander? No, you're a political activist who wants another George Floyd. That's what you want. You want more riots. You want more fundraising. You want more media attention. You want more strife and tension and distrust between the communities that share North Texas. That's ugly. It's gross. It's exploiting the death of a child to further your warped and false cause. We are not in a race war in North Texas, and they're trying to create one. Blacks and whites get together all day, every day at work. We're all polite. We're not committing acts of violence. There's not one person in a position of power that was elected that says, yes, I'm a racist. I sure do hate other people based on the color of their skin. Not one. Name one. So stop trying to foment a race war where it certainly doesn't belong. It's just, you're exploiting the death of a child, dude. Like, how demonic can you be? And you're throwing out, oh, as a minister, I can't stand for this. You're not a minister. You're falsely taking the Lord's name in vain to divide us among racial lines where it doesn't previously exist. How damn demonic can you be? Go shake a baby. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, homeowners here in North Texas, I know if you haven't stuck your head out the window, a lot of clouds out there. We're expecting more storms over the weekend. If you suspect your room has been compromised in any form or fashion, just the slightest hint, you have nothing to lose by calling BlueRibbonDFW.com and getting their free roof inspection. When the storms blow over and they pass and you're looking for someone to trust, I want you to start with a company, a family-owned company that's been here 31 years. It's not a franchise of some national conglomerate. It's John and Tish. Their son Trevor, who's an adult now, they run this business, and they're going to keep a nice family business, trustworthy, not some guys who are coming in for this storm and then leaving after the storm's done. They'll be there to follow up, and hey, this roof will be great. If you ever need any help in the future, you can be sure that they're still going to be in business. They're still going to be here. They're still going to be answering the phone because they made a promise to this community, because this is their community. They're your neighbors, John and Tish and Trevor. They'll put 5 major upgrades on your roof. And if you mention you heard it on WBAP, you get a free ridge vent ventilation upgrade. That's if you need a new roof. And if you're worried about, oh, man, how am I going to cover this? Well, they'll work with you. If it's just a small repair, we'll work that out. If you need some help with the insurance company, they can help with that too. So go to blueribbondfw.com. Check out the 5-star reviews. Don't just trust the handsome guy on the radio. Go to blueribbondfw.com and read the Google reviews yourself. blueribbondfw.com. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Joining us to give us the law enforcement perspective on this terrible story, the Carmelo Anthony, and a couple other local stories that are floating through our local news right now. Betsy Brantner-Smith, National Police Association. Welcome back to the James Show. Before we get to the press conference,
hey, it is so great to be with you.
I know, good to see you again, Betsy. So, terrible press conference yesterday. A lot of us were kind of turned off by the way the dad was called disrespectful or whatever. Even if it was disrespectful, the guy lost a kid. Can't you give him a break? Well, he got swatted yesterday, and this is something we've talked about before, Betsy. What are we going to do about swatting? I really don't even know what the solution to this is.
Well, swatting is such a difficult thing to investigate because you can go through so many different channels on the internet to then call in this fake police call. You know, we just had a couple of weeks ago a bunch of conservative influencers who were swatted, and it is so dangerous, not just for the person being swatted, but of course for law enforcement as well. It's horrific, and this father, this man, does not deserve this.
Oh, absolutely not. However, I've even tried to think through, well, what are you supposed to do? Tell cops to not believe emergency calls that come through unsecured lines or burner phones or public lines? You can't not respond to perceived emergencies, because then you run the risk of actually missing out on a real active shooter situation. So, I mean, I don't say this as a rhetorical question, like, what do we do about this?
No, you're absolutely right. Law enforcement has to respond. They have to treat it as a real call because they really don't know. And again, these people doing the swatting make it sound very realistic. They give out details of the location and the people inside. So what do you do about it? When you do catch people, and there have been people caught, most famously recently, the online influencer known as Cat Turd was swatted 3 times, and the federal authorities were able to find out who that was. And then you have to punish them. We have to punish aberrant behavior, and we have to punish them as an extraordinarily dangerous crime. When you SWAT somebody, it's almost attempted manslaughter, if not attempted murder. You're doing it so that someone gets hurt or killed, whether it's law enforcement or the victim of the swatting.
Well, then also I think there's a sort of a tinge of terrorism, not that, they're blowing stuff up and hijacking planes or whatever, but whenever you do violence or intimidation for a political cause, you're definitely doing this for intimidating purposes. If not to, oops, I accidentally caused harm on them. You're at least trying to intimidate them. And if there's a political backing for it, doesn't this sort of reach the definition of terrorism, Betsy?
You're absolutely right. That is the very definition of terrorism, an act in furtherance of changing someone's stance, their political views, things like that, or to intimidate them into silence. But again, we probably need additional new laws, and I'm not a big, let's make more laws person, but we probably need new, at least federal laws on swatting because it's almost always a federal crime, and we need to punish it as an extremely dangerous felony.
Well, look, you're with the National Police Association, so this may sound dumb coming from a layman, but can't you keep like a list or like a clipboard or a book or a database or something for if someone's been falsely swatted before, then the next time there's a call to this dude's apartment, we just assume, or house, you know what I'm saying? We just assume it's a prank?
We can never assume that, but what we tell swatting victims or potential victims to do is to sit down with their local law enforcement and say, here's what I do for a living. Here's why I might get swatted. I've done this with my own police department, and let them know. Because, again, policing in the United States is very decentralized. There's no one big database of everybody in the country, despite what you see on TV. And so you have to be proactive as a potential victim or a victim and say, look, here's why somebody might want to swat me. Here's my personal cell phone. Here's my wife or husband's cell phone, things like that. And make sure law enforcement understands, because there are a lot of small police departments who don't even know what swatting is.
All right, good stuff. How do we help out with the National Police Association, Betsy?
Go to nationalpolice.org, nationalpolice.org, hit that donate button, see the amazing work that we are doing for law enforcement and the people who support us.
All right, thanks. It was great to talk to a cop today. Appreciate it, Betsy.
Appreciate you.
Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith, National Police Association, on the James Show. Do you think they're trying to start another George Floyd? Do you think they're trying to start another Trayvon Martin or Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot, around this? I think they are. I'm going to make the case next, but I would also like to, maybe you need to talk me off of the ledge here, 800-288-9227, because I can get over my skis. I can get too far into this. Let me know, 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, stick around in the 4 o'clock hour. The great Rob Schneider is going to be joining us for the whole hour. He's just going to hang out on the James Show, and I know, Rob, making copies. We won't bring up the animal, but we'll pretty much ask him about the rest of his career. But the question right now is, are they trying to create another one of these race war situations, another George Floyd, another Trayvon Martin, another Michael Brown, another one of these things that it's almost a template that they just fill in the Mad Lib with the current name of the day and the current city of the day. It's the same script, isn't it? You recognize it. I recognize it. And that's what that press conference was about. So let's just analyze a little bit of this here, because I think this is important. First, you have to recognize that another race war, another George Floyd, it's very lucrative for the blacktivist out there, for the Dominic Alexanders out there. Think about the BLM Foundation folks that were found under Obama that ended up getting tens of millions of dollars in donations. And remember, the woman you circle back like 5 years ago, she had a real estate profile with like a vacation house in the Bahamas, and then one in Malibu, and then one in her hometown, and then another one in Chicago or wherever it was. And she was saying, well, no, I was just, I've been financially successful in my private life, and these are not like vacation houses for me. Like, my cousin lives in Malibu, and so I just was helping out my cousin. It's like, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, family and all these amazing vacation hotspots. What a coincidence. Good for you. But the crazy part about that is all the money that was donated from like big corporations or whatever, they never go back and audit how it was spent. They just get the positive headlines. They put the lamb's blood on their doorposts so the riot passes them up, and they just move on. Ryan Mansfield, you're on WBAP. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it. I've been telling everybody I feel like there's going to be martial law before too much longer, due to what you were talking about is the race card being pulled, quote, just like what, not quote, but Jasmine Crockett. She's already spewing. Everything out of her mouth is, racist. I mean, she is a racist. It makes me sick. Letitia James, her defense now is everything, about her being a black woman and the white man in that White House. You got Hakeem Jeffries, his comments over the last months about taking Trump out. I can't remember exactly how he put it. A lot of the black Democrat, liberal Marxists are forefront at the speakers. And I think it's coming down to it. They're waiting. If any arrests are made, I'm hoping this is done tactically. They start taking down all just black Democrats. Yeah, it's going to turn into that, and they're going to find one. It's happening to George Floyd's and all that. It's happening all over right now until they pick out the one they want to go with, and it's going to happen.
So at some point, we are going to get past this. This is only like a temporary blip, and we're watching society just very clumsily resolve this, because no other society has had to do it on this big of a scale. The United States and Brazil are the only countries that have this level of racial mixture and at this size. And so we're both kind of going through it, but we don't have a template to go through. We don't have someone else who's explained, hey, what happens when a majority of a population actually bends over and hands over the entirety of the citizens' rights to displaced minorities? And it's just never happened before. But I don't think that's going to stop us from solving this. But in the meantime, there's a lot of people who make money off of this. There's a lot of people who benefit from this. And it's not just in dollars and cents. It's in media attention, and it's in clout, and it's in, don't disrespect me. I'm going to put some respect on my name, kind of that thing. And there's no downside to it. These cons never go to jail. The people who keep the money never go to Al Sharpton, never goes to jail. Jesse Jackson never went to jail, even though he would spend all this money on like his wife's earrings and things like that. Nah, they don't ever go to jail. The BLM lady that had the real estate profile across like 6 different vacation hotspots, there's nothing wrong with that. Legally speaking, I mean, if people want to be dupes and give her money, there's nothing illegal there. And so until it stops being profitable, it's going to happen. Now, how does it stop being profitable? people stop caring. And by people, I don't mean all of us. And I don't mean black people. I mean the subgroup within the black community that's donating money to this. White liberals, you too. Whoever's donating money and hand over fist to defend this guy, whenever they stop, because the motivation for all those people is suspect right there. That you can only be on that guy's side from a tribal point of view. But good points over there, Ryan and Mansfield. But non-black Democrats, academia, the media, they love fomenting race wars because it activates that voter group. And not just black voters. I mean, there's other young people who consider themselves woke or social justice warriors who are more likely to vote if you get them incensed, if you get them up and out of their seat and you get them in the street. And now they're a political activist. They're not just some guy who goes to community college up at Richland and then plays video games the rest of the day. They're a Democrat activist. And so this is a conventionally lower turnout rate group of people. And once you get them activated like that and emotional, it calcifies them against their perceived enemies, which happen to be the overwhelmingly conservative constituency. Think about how Republican the straight white male voting bloc is, right? Well, that's their perceived political enemies. But if we can take off Republican and just direct their ire at straight white males, you get the same result. So I'm definitely not talking about people based on the race. I'm talking about leftists of any race. If they perceive you to be Hitler incarnate, there's no way they're going to give you a fair hearing when it comes to reforming healthcare or tax policy or gun control or anything. In fact, they'll reflexively oppose your policies based on no other information. They don't have to know why capitalism is better than socialism or gun rights are bad or good. They take that intellectual shortcut that it must be bad because a Nazi is saying it, because that's what a Nazi wants. And meanwhile, these other nice people over here who are trying to save me from a racist genocide or whatever, they're saying the opposite. So you'll trust the people that you see on network news far before you trust literally Hitler. So when those people wake up, especially black people, the Democrats are done. They will lose almost every major city. The South will be even redder than it already is. What will they still control? San Francisco? Vermont? Because they're not going to have Chicago. If they lose the black vote, they're not going to have Chicago, Atlanta, New York, New Orleans, Baltimore, Detroit, all these other places where black people hold probably a majority of power. And I say that because like in New Orleans, it's 60% black. If the black vote goes Republican, New Orleans is a Republican city, never to be returned again. So yeah, they better keep this going on or they're sunk. And this is the latest, greatest chance they have to foment the next round of riots and calcify a young cohort against their perceived political enemies. And it'll just take them a longer and longer time to figure out that we're not the bad guys. We don't hate them. We're not racist. We're not Nazis. We're not literally Hitler. So that's why I think they definitely want this to be another race war. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up, the measles outbreak has spread here in North Texas. Find out where it's at and how to keep yourself safe next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, if the race war is not going to get you, measles might. Dr. Benjamin Newman's coming back up, virologist at Texas A&M University. Longhorns don't hold that against him. Welcome back, Dr. Benjamin.
Thank you.
So the measles, not only is it still here, bigger than ever. And we have some new cases in North Texas. Should I be concerned?
Yeah, measles is really growing. Still, the line isn't moving, at a sharper angle or a shallower angle. This is just the same thing playing out. And eventually it is going to make its way just about anywhere that people are unvaccinated, unfortunately.
All right. So when we say unvaccinated, are we counting people who've never been vaccinated and people who haven't had a booster in a long enough time span?
The answer is we don't know. Yeah, but for sure the people that don't have any immunity. And I guess if you've caught it and survived it, that would count as something. But all the same, it's really hard to tell the bumps that you would get from measles from the bumps you would get from, one of a number of other childhood viruses or even a heat rash. It's kind of a thing you've got to have a doctor do.
So how do you differentiate it from a heat rash?
Oh yeah, if you're at a doctor's office, they can do a PCR test. That's the best way. There isn't a good cheap test though, like the little COVID test or anything.
Mm-hmm.
If some money was put into that, we could make those. I think it seems possible.
So we have reports that are playing it from the WBAP newsroom, possible exposure at 3 Plano stores in Collin County. Are we just doing this out of an abundance of caution, or is there some real concern there?
I think there is concern, and it all depends. I mean, there are a lot of unknowns there. If you're in the same room as somebody, there is a reasonable chance there is exposure, and then it's kind of up to your immune system to decide what to do about it. And unfortunately, by that point, there's very little that medicine could do to stop the virus. I think a lot of people think they might be able to catch, just like a little bit of measles, which would be fine. But this virus doesn't have an off switch. It doesn't have any way of regulating itself. It is all gas, no brakes. And once it gets hold of you, it just does what it wants.
So I saw expert, I'm using the air quotes here, expert in Dallas Morning News say he expects this to cycle through and be done in about 12 months. How could they possibly make a prediction like that?
You can try. You can estimate how many people are unvaccinated, which is around 10% of the country. You can try and estimate, all right, how many of these pockets has it got into? Because when it gets into a community of people who are unvaccinated, it will eventually burn itself out there. But the question is, do you have all of those down? Do you know where everybody is? And I don't know. Most of these models, the saying that they have is that all of these models are wrong, but the useful ones are just a little bit wrong or wrong in an interesting way.
I hear you. All right. Should we be changing our activities if we think we've been around measles? I'm not wearing a face mask again, but I guess you're going to say washing hands. Anything else?
No, I mean, washing hands. This is one of those. We used to think this thing spread through like surfaces and hands, and it's not that it can't, but if you're in a room where there's enough of that stuff on the surface, there's probably an infected person there, and it goes into the lungs. That seems to be where everybody gets infected first. The skin is like where it goes after, and it's got to make some changes in the virus in order to get there.
So this is an airborne virus?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right, but we're not telling people to avoid concerts and anything at this point, so I feel like this is pretty minimal. We should just keep an eye on it and maybe not change any behaviors. Does that sound reasonable to a virologist?
Or don't go to concerts with measles patients. Yeah, maybe. But, how would you know?
All right, good stuff. Thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin Newman. I appreciate your help, and I guess we'll keep having you on until the measles goes away.
Anytime.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, see, that's nice. Then when the doctor doesn't sound worried, I definitely am not worried. Are you? 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, it's another story about a teacher in Texas who is a little too, let's just say, inappropriate with one of her students. And this is another one that kind of strikes me wrong here, because I saw the headline. And then I was like, well, look at her mugshot. Oh, she's beautiful. Lucky kid, right? What is he, 17, 18? No, it's a middle school teacher, and oh, gross. That's not cool. Like, how serious is this problem? I could do this almost every day. You understand? I come in, and I'm not talking about teachers of planet Earth. I'm not talking about teachers in the United States of 330 million people. I'm talking about in Texas. This is happening almost every day. Do we have a pedophile epidemic in our schools? I'll address that next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hello, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Happy Friday. Let's go. It's Friday, and I'm kind of broke, but not more so broke than another Friday. But this is going to be on behalf of Brandon. He didn't say where he's from. He just sent me an email. He's broke, so he wants the broke.
It's Friday.
The broke theme song?
Broke and I'm broke. It's Friday and I'm broke.
So if you're broke on this Friday, you're going to try and have fun this weekend, this is for you.
My check don't come till next week. My check better not be short.
When does your check come?
My check don't come till
Are you worried about it being short?
My check better not be short.
Well, how are you going to act?
But I'ma act like I'm rich. Act like I'm rich.
All right, that's for you, Brandon. And for all of us who are out there just trying to skate through this weekend, not letting the other people around us know just how absolutely flat broke we are. I know, man. I think I spent about a third of my waking life doing that. So, yeah, there you go, Brandon. That's for you. Let's do another not fun story here. Sometimes these are fun stories, but this one gets ruined pretty quick. I saw a headline, a Fort Bend ISD teacher arrested for an improper relationship with a student. And so, sometimes you think, is before I am disgusted or not, we need to know a couple of things. And I know this is shallow and I know this is stupid. Just give me credit for a little bit of honesty here where a lot of people wouldn't admit that they're honest. We treat these different. If it's a guy that is having an inappropriate relationship with a female student, we want him thrown under the jail, right? We just can't send him to jail fast enough or hard enough. Put him on a sex offender registry list. He shouldn't be allowed to go around children. He should be stained with the scarlet letter for the rest of his life. Or a scarlet P for pedophile. I don't know. It just doesn't have the same ring to it. So this is a woman. And so immediately you say, okay, well, she's a woman. If she's young and beautiful and she's having an improper relationship with a student, well, that kind of matches the fantasy that you might have had when you were a senior in high school looking at your English teacher or someone else's English teacher and thinking, wouldn't that be nice? So we do. We have, she's young. She's blonde. She's pretty cute. So now you need to know one other piece of information. How old's the kid? Because if the kid's 18, it's not really that gross at all. An 18-year-old man and a 23-year-old woman, whoop-de-doo. This gets real awful real quick. She works at a middle school. All right, now this is nasty. Now all of a sudden, the story horseshoes back around to throw her under the jail. And the problem that, I see sitting over here that you don't have to put up with as you're on the other side of the radio just listening to it, is I could do this almost every day. They don't make national news, and they don't kind of gather them up and compile them for like, hey, here's all the ones that have happened across Texas. You see the ones that happened in Dallas-Fort Worth area. You would see it in the news if it happened in like a Euless, or if it happened in a Kaufman, or if it happened in Salina, or if it happened in Aledo. This is Fort Bend. This doesn't really show up in our local news. I got this from Texas Scorecard. And Texas Scorecard is one of the reasons why this just keeps getting worse and worse in my head. In the past few years, they started keeping a map of all the Texas teachers that have been accused of sex crimes. So when I say the last few years, I mean, we're going back to what? The Bad Apples thing started, I think, 2022 or something like that. Anyway, it's the Bad Apple section of their website. Let me see if I can go find the first one. Because, 2022. I guessed it right. Look how good I am. So we're up to hundreds plural. And so for all the ones that actually get caught, and then that information makes it to a news source, and they actually report on it and print it and put it on the website and whatnot, you got to know that we're just kind of scraping the top of them, the ones that get exposed. And all you have to do is assume for everyone that gets caught, if there's just one or two that get away with it, then actually, without hyperbole, this is happening every day in Texas schools. Now, you want to go ahead and put another piece of math on it and say, okay, well, let's assume that whenever this does happen, it doesn't happen once and they get caught. A lot of these are multiple, like over and over, or they did it 3 or 4 or 5 times. So, actually, you can get pretty quickly to the math that this probably happens every single day in public schools. Don't you feel like this should get a little more attention than it does? Don't we? Do you think we should treat this like an epidemic? Don't you think we should, I don't know if we should be rioting and burning buildings or even protesting in the street or meeting at Dealey Plaza with some foam core signs and some media press releases. But remember, the whole George Floyd riot, all this Michael Brown, and anytime they talk about how the cops are just indiscriminately killing unarmed black men for sport and getting away with it, that happens on average about 15 to 19 times a year. And that's considered a big enough problem that we have to put end racism in the end zones in the NFL for 3 or 4 years. I think they're going to quit this next year. They didn't do it in the Super Bowl. They put like, it takes all of us or something else kind of neutral like that. But look at how much they've hyped up such a small, and it's important. Every life counts. 15 is too many. But for something that happens about 15 to 19 times a year, unarmed black men being killed by police, versus what's going on with students having inappropriate carnal knowledge of teachers on a daily basis in Texas, I think we have a disparate reaction to that. That's a problem. I don't know what the answer is. What, are we just supposed to get more mad at that or less mad at the George Floyds of the world? Maybe a lot of both. But that's really starting to bother me. Like, if I think it's just because I see it every day. Maybe I just need to get away from it, take more vacations or whatever. But it just kind of dawned on me that, we say things like, oh, this is happening every day. No, I'm here to tell you, here in Texas, this is happening every single day. 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Coming up, David Hamilton from America's Future Series going to get you caught up on what's going on in foreign policy. Russia, Ukraine, Gaza, Houthis, Iran, all that important stuff next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there, sports fans. James Parker here for the Prize Picks app. But let me give you another secret of the pros in America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. Today is what they call Flex Friday. You can do a flex option on your pick. So when you make a lineup of 2 to 6 people, if you want to get the max payout, you say, okay, I've got to get all 6 of these. But you can use the flex option, which I do quite a bit, which allows me, if I make a lineup of 3 people, and if only 2 of them I'm correct on, I can still win. You don't have to get them all. If you use the flex option, of course, your winnings are compromised a little bit and come down, but that's the trade-off you get. And so I'm a big fan of the flex play, so you can take advantage of that on Flex Friday. So opt into that, and also my other favorite holiday that comes up every week on Prize Picks, Taco Tuesday. I know they don't sell tacos. There's not even any Mexican food on the app, but you can get some special deals on Tuesday when you open the Prize Picks app. Just look for the little taco icon in the top corner of your favorite players on the favorite teams of your favorite sports, and you can mix and match. You can do Ottinger's going to get a shutout tonight. Meanwhile, Eovaldi's going to pitch more than 5.5 innings. Just more or less on statistics. And you can turn a little bit of money into a lot of money using the expertise that you already have because you're such an awesome fan. Download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP to get $50 with your first $5 play. And you can take advantage of Flex Friday. You can take advantage of Taco Tuesday. So download the Prize Picks app. Use promo code WBAP. Get that $50 with your first $5 play. And you can turn it into up to 2,000 times your money. That means one $5 game can get you 10,000 in winnings, but you'd have to download the app first. Prize Picks. Run your game. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You know, we spent a lot of our airspace this week digging in our own belly buttons as far as the news goes. And I don't mean that as pejorative. I mean, just focusing on what's happening with the local news, with the Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony drama that was happening, the shooting in Wilmer Hutchins, the improperly acting teachers, what's going on in Austin. But let's take a wide lens at what's going on, because there's still a lot of news happening in the foreign policy front, and a couple of hot spots we like to check in with David Hamilton on a regular basis from America's Future Series. Can we go through our hotspot review here, David?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's start the latest with Iran. What's going on with these guys and the Houthis? Are they still lobbing missiles at boats going by? Have they stopped? Has Iran responded? I didn't hear anything about the talks that happened last weekend. So what's the latest on the Iran front, David?
So Iran does, export and fund terrorism, the kind that you'll see the Houthis who in Yemen, commit. But of course, the single biggest issue that we worry about right now, especially, is with Iran and its pursuit of a nuclear weapon. And the Europeans and others sort of enable the Iranians to lie. The Iranians will say to us that their nuclear energy program is for peaceful purposes. But just as a matter of factual, reality, anytime you enrich uranium above 3 or 4, maybe say 5%, you're not doing that for medical devices or for energy. You're doing it to a bomb.
David, whenever my centrifuges, I always keep it below 4% if I can.
Yeah, and that's very wise. Yeah. And then nobody wants to come blow your house up, which is good.
Right.
So when you get to 80, 90%, clearly you spend a lot of time, energy, effort, money, and that's for weapons grade uranium. So we all need to be really cognizant of the fact when we hear these stories that there's a certain amount of misinformation and enabling that goes on around the world, and they don't get called on the fact that they're lying, that they are doing this to create a bomb and to use the bomb.
Well, David, why did they lie about it? Why can't they just say, listen, Pakistan has a bomb and they're not doing anything with it, and they're even more Islamic than we are?
Yeah. I don't know, but it seems to play well in Peoria. That's a PR game they want to play, and there are people that want to believe that, so they'll take it. Oh no, it's just for peaceful purposes. No, it's not.
Oh, I don't believe it's for peaceful purposes. I think they should just come out and admit, of course you want the bomb. Everyone would love to have the bomb. Why are you lying to us, Ayatollahs? Come on.
Yeah. So, and I think we all know that if they had one, since they've used every other form of terrorism, they would use these. And the Israelis have the capability to destroy these bunkers, these labs where they're building them, but the Israelis need us to provide cover after the fact. So this would launch a big, almost maybe even a regional war if they do that. They've done it before, but they need us for cover. And I think what it tells us that when President Trump said, we don't have to do this right now, that actually made me feel a little more comfortable, because apparently they're not as close to having enough money to make an actual fissionable bomb than maybe other reports thought. So we all know they're close, and we've been saying they're close forever, for years. Oh, they're a year away. They're 2 years away. Now they're 6 months away. Now they're 2 or 3 months away. They must be close, but the Trump administration is willing to try diplomacy one more time. But I really do think in the next month or so, if they have not come to some sort of agreement, which involves the full disclosure, the dismantling, the inspection, et cetera, and perhaps even the purchase of these materials, there will have to be attack by the Israelis, and they will probably do it with or without our help.
So let's move on to Russia and Ukraine. I feel like these two boats are drifting further apart and not coming to a ceasefire.
Well, I think you and I have both been very happy that at least we're trying to have a ceasefire. We're trying to have negotiations, et cetera. And before that, there was no discussion of this. And these negotiations take time. I think everyone would have agreed that it was very wishful thinking to think that one could solve this deep a conflict with this much loss, this much money involved, et cetera, in one day. But it is a noble goal for us to get people to the table and try to figure out what they need to do. I believe that we need to normalize ultimately relationship with both of these countries. Russia needs to be our friend and not our enemy, especially when we think with regard to the Chinese. Right now, the Chinese are very, very happy to see the Russians and us and the Ukrainians all embroiled in this big controversy, spending all this money and this loss of life. They laugh at us every day. And I've shared with you on the show before that Russia really isn't that big a threat to us economically, militarily, et cetera. So we do need to find common ground. And ultimately, if Russia was selling oil and gas to the Europeans, if they had their pipeline back, if they were allowed to keep some of the ethnically Russian and Russian speaking territory, they could save face. Ukraine could be restored. Right now, we face the complete obliteration of an entire country and a culture and a people if we don't stop this soon.
Can you give me 1 minute on what's happening with Israel and Gaza? I haven't seen any new updates on that, but I assume there's still stuff going on.
Yeah, so I do appreciate your widening the aperture on what our audience talks about, et cetera, and we talk about here in the States. This ongoing conflict still goes on. There are still holdouts. They still have prisoners. And my biggest issue is that Egypt still refuses to allow refugees out. This entire problem could be solved, large of it could be solved, if the human shields that are in Gaza could be allowed to go up to the south and maybe to go to other areas so that the Israelis could actually come in and get the murderous Hamas leaders out of there. The biggest problem is people have not put enough pressure on Egypt or others to allow the refugees out. They've said somehow America and Israel are the problem. Those people could be brought to safety and this problem resolved in Gaza if enough pressure was put on Egypt.
You got an event coming up in 3 weeks?
We do. We're starting the launch of a new program at the University of North Texas. The University of North Texas is creating a National Security and Economic Strategy Center, and I'm going to be its executive director. We're launching that. They have a nice event out there at Circle T Ranch, which is the Hillwood Perot Event Center, on national security and economic strategy, and that information is on our website.
All right. Look up America's Future Series. It pops right up in any of the search engines. Thank you very much, David Hamilton.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, sir. All right, coming up next, I'm going to be addressing directly the citizens, the homeowners, the taxpayers, the voters of Frisco. But really, you could just turn this into a Mad Lib and plug in any other town or city in North Texas, and the story would work. There's something that's on your ballot coming up in, I think, next month, and it's just a terrible idea. It's one of these bond issues, and I'll tell you, you just can't vote hard enough on this god-awful, embarrassing waste of resources. I'll tell you all about it next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. People of Frisco, I'm talking to you, but this really applies to every town that I've ever lived in. And I've lived in many Texas towns. I lived in one town in Oklahoma for a year and in New Orleans for a little over a decade. And everywhere I go, they do this. Everywhere I go, whether it's from my hometown in Bug Tussle or our twin city for Bug Tussle, there's Hooterville and Petticoat Junction over there. They all do this. There's going to be a bond next time you go to the ballot box. And they're asking for, what is it, almost $200 million in a new bond for a theater in Frisco because they want to put on musicals. Oh, isn't that sweet? Well, Texas Scorecard has a write-up on this Frisco bond proposal. Here it is, $160 million to finance a city-owned theater for the arts. Now, if you actually take the bond amount and then you add in the interest and the payments and stretch it out over the actuarial table, this is going to cost the taxpayers of Frisco $308 million. And this is before they have cost overruns and it's behind schedule and it's over budget. I mean, you can expect that to go even higher here, but they're trying to sell it to you at $160 million. Now, Frisco property owners, you taxpayers over there, this isn't like, okay, well, this is happening in a vacuum. No, you're already paying on $1.47 billion in outstanding bonds. So you're just going to be adding that to your existing debt. And before we get into like the philosophical backing of this, for all you people who wonder why your taxes are so high, your property taxes have exploded in the last few years, it's because garbage programs like this pass far too often. It's because the voters go out and vote for it. Every time you hear something free or something new or something restored or revitalized, there's a downtown revitalization project that Allen's trying to do right now. This is coming out of your backside. You're paying for it. Everything that's listed as free or revitalized, you're paying for it. This is coming out of your check. Do we really need a new center for the arts in Frisco? Of course not. Well, how do you know, James? Have you gone out and done the market research? No, I don't have to do the market research. If it was a profitable endeavor, some evil capitalist pig motivated by evil capitalist profits like myself would already do the market research, know it, and open the theater without taking your money against your will to do it. He would come up with the money on his own. He'd probably find other rich people, other rich evil capitalists who actually didn't spend every dollar they've earned and have money set aside to reinvest. And they would do it, and if it worked, then they would get to succeed and be rewarded for their good idea, rewarded for giving the people of Frisco what they wanted. If it fails, they're the ones who have to eat the cost, not the taxpayers of Frisco. No, the market has already decided we have enough theaters in Frisco. There's just some people out there who think the market's wrong. No, the market's right. You're wrong. You just don't like the result. But why don't we have theaters like we did 50, 100 years ago? That's another thing that happens in these older cities, like a Dallas or a Fort Worth. Oh, what about the old Florist Theater? What about this theater over here at Turtle Creek that was designed by Frank Lloyd Wright or whatever? Well, you know what? Some of these theaters need to go away. We don't do theaters as much as we used to. Theaters were a lot more popular in the 30s and 40s and even through the 50s because we didn't have TV. That's why. Because we can watch plays at home. Not only do we have TVs like we did when we were kids, now we have Netflix. Now we have YouTube. Now we have Amazon Prime. So where if you want to see Hamilton, you don't have to go kick the taxpayers of Frisco in the butt for $308 million. You can just go watch it on demand whenever you want on Amazon Prime with the original cast, with the dudes who wrote it, on the Broadway stage, with their set design, with their perfect camera angles, with their perfect sound mix. I'm sorry, but theaters are largely obsolete, especially compared if you're expecting the popularity to be as high as it was 50 or 100 years ago. You're insane. But even if they weren't obsolete, even if there was a demand, why would you have the government come take that livelihood, that business away, that business opportunity away from legit private sector theater owners and managers? If I'm wrong, government still doesn't need to get into that space because it would be taking care of by the private sector. When we had more theaters 100 years ago, it wasn't because we had more theater subsidies. It's because people were going to theaters and it was good business to keep building them and managing them and not turning them into other things like, I don't know, movie theaters sometimes, or event spaces, or warehouse, or maybe knocking it down and building something else completely. But the thing I find completely frustrating about this is, aside from this show and this station and just a handful of exceptions, everywhere I go, in every town, whether it's in Austin or Tyler or Longview or Dallas or Fort Worth or Oklahoma, New Orleans, all of the TV stations always love these. All of the newspapers always love wasting your money on some sentimental project. Oh, it's for the arts, it's theaters. Where you're going to spend $93,000 on some art installation with 3 rusty triangles welded together in an intersection. You think that's a judicious use of your taxpayer dollars? No. Well, the media around you at the local level always celebrates it. Show me the bad article on this one. Show me the criticism of this. Every new project that just wastes your money, they love it. Oh, let's build a choo-choo train from Dallas to Houston. What a great idea. No, terrible idea. You remember, what was that, 10 years ago when they're like, hey, let's build some rapids in downtown Dallas on the Trinity River and so people can come get in an inner tube and go down that nasty river downtown? We told you that was a bad idea. How long did it last? Like a month? Do they ever circle back and be like, oh, hey, remember how we told you we need to revitalize this theater? Here it is 10 years later. I'm sorry, it's a huge embarrassing failure. We don't have tons of Broadway plays and musicals coming through here like we thought. It's losing more money than we thought. Attendance is lower than we thought. Upkeep is more than we thought. And now we're asking for what, millions more to just keep it alive? No. Stop doing this. Voters, stop letting them do this. Here's what you need to do. You need to let the people who put these bonds out there know that it's just going to get voted down. You need to let the media know that whenever they do these glowing stories about, oh, we need to keep the downtown Neiman Marcus flagship open, tell them no. That is a terrible idea. It's embarrassing is what it is. It blows my mind how every terrible idea, every TV station, every newspaper, most radio hosts and stations go out there and think, oh, look at this great project. We sure do support this. For what? If people loved going to the theater that much, it wouldn't need to be forced at the taxpayer expense to be built. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Now, if you're thinking, I don't live in Frisco, so you're not talking to me, I guarantee you there's probably half of us in these local elections in about a month are going to go vote on bonds. Oh, yeah, I guess the school does need a new theater. Oh, yeah, I guess we need a new football stadium. Oh, yeah, we need a new indoor practice facility. Your default position on all of these should be no. Without learning and reading into it, just say no on all bonds, period, point blank, end of story. Because this is a great example of how voters get duped. Well-intended voters get duped. It was, I think last year, Prosper ISD had their voters in that school district say, hey, can we get a bond for $100 million on a new theater? Y'all went out and said yes. You know where that money's at now? It's getting rolled up into this Frisco project. $100 million of that is saying, okay, well, we'll put it into this Frisco project as long as you let Prosper ISD use the smaller theater for our plays and as a venue for us. You got duped. And it happens almost every election cycle. And this is local elections where your vote actually matters. So you can do something about this. Can we just stop with every embarrassing, tax-wasting money pit? Please. And it starts with the most obvious of unnecessary things. Theaters. We could all live the rest of our life. We could live happy, fulfilled lives from here until age 100 if you never go to a theater again. You'll be just fine. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Stick around, because starting in the next segment, Rob Schneider, or he's joining us at 4:15, isn't he? Second segment, so like 20 minutes, 25 minutes from now? All right, almost a half hour from now. Rob Schneider's coming on. I'm just a little excited about it, because, we get some good guests on here, but not Rob Schneider level for 3 full segments. I mean, he's going to hang out with us for almost the whole hour. Of course, he's going to be promoting an upcoming event in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, more than one, actually. So if you want to find out where you can see him live, you just hang on. I'll let him tell you himself. Actually, I'll tell you too, but I'm going to make you wait for that. So stick around. Rob Schneider's coming up in about 25 minutes or so. Also, if you can't stick around for that, I understand if you have like a life and responsibilities and things to go do. Got to go take the kids to soccer practice or whatever. Come on back. I'll put up the podcast and you can check it out later if you're so inclined. Or if you haven't discovered this already, if you follow WBAP on Facebook or Twitter, you can see the video for this. And you don't have to wait for me to put up the podcast. Now, it's not as nice as the podcast, because podcasts that take out like weather, traffic, sports, commercials. And so it shrinks down the amount of time that you actually take to consume the whole show. So there's a big advantage there. But something else cool that we're doing is Rob Schneider's going to be here and play along on today's episode of Name That Artist. So that's kind of cool. We'll be playing for 2 tickets to Titanic, the exhibition. So it's open now at Addison's Pepper Square, but it's it's in an exhibition where you go step inside the Titanic. They have the staircase like from the movie. I saw some friends actually saying, hey, look, here's some pictures of us on the Titanic. And, obvious jokes. I don't think you're really on the Titanic there. But no, it really does look like the movie. And so if you have some really old clothes, like some suspenders from 1913 or whatever, you could, dress the part and make a whole period piece out of it. But I think it looks really cool because you and I didn't know the Titanic, but we certainly know the movie. And so they even do it from that camera angle where it's the bottom of the steps and at the left, and you're kind of looking up and you see like Jack waiting for Rose up there. But they actually do have some stuff from the actual ship there. Over 350 artifacts. TheTitanicExhibition.com is the website. And if you're not around for Name That Artist, TheTitanicExhibition.com. But that's a heck of a prize too. So if you're interested in that, that's what's on the table for Name That Artist. I also had a lot of feedback I wanted to get to before we jump into this last hour here. Some people are still replying to what was going on with the press conference that was held yesterday with Dominic Alexander. And, he's part of the Carmelo Anthony defense team. I don't think he's their actual lawyer because he's just been a political activist. And I don't know what he even does by trade. But something interesting happened because people have been sending me links and documents like, here's what this guy's done in the past and check out this dude's record or whatever. Well, y'all all got blown away. I appreciate every email that came to James at WBAP.com. But it was a few minutes ago, I looked up, and on one of the monitors, on one of the TVs here, one of them's on Fox News. And on the Will Cain show, at the top, I saw Dominic Alexander criminal record. And it took up the whole screen. It was like a 2-column graphic here where it says Carmelo Anthony family spokesperson. And then they list a bullet point of, 14 different charges on his criminal record. Felony injury to a child, forging a check, leading police on a high-speed chase, stealing a car, falsely claiming a car was stolen, offensive physical contact. I've never heard of that one. Offensive physical contact? Isn't that like battery or assault or... I don't know. Maybe it just smelled really bad. Probation violations. I guess leaving the state without telling your probation officer. Felony theft of property between $2,500 and $30,000. Felony assault causing serious bodily injury. I think that was the shaken baby one, but I'm not sure. Misdemeanor assault, continuous violence against the family. Theft, making a false report, and evading arrest. See, the word's getting out. It's not just us here in North Texas that know all about this guy. This was on Fox News. This was on the Will Cain show. And it's cool to see some of our buddies get credited at the bottom. Dallas Express, Dallas Observer, a couple of TV stations here. Round of applause. We gave you the exclusive yesterday he had mentioned, influencers or online people, conservative activists making posts about him. Well, it turns out the felonious posts turned out to be true. I mean, even Fox is putting your criminal record out there. So was that not correct? And our exclusive was he had named Sarah Fields by name in the press conference. I'm like, oh, really? Her? I know her. That's fantastic. I mean, I don't know her, but she's a friend of a friend, and we've been in contact. I already had her contact information. So I had her on the show yesterday. That's a special treat you can enjoy. In just a couple hours after he called her out in the press conference, she was on my show on WBAP responding to that criticism. I played her to the audience. She responded to it. It was a beautiful radio moment. And I put that up if you follow WBAP on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. I have it up on all three of those platforms. So if you're not following us on social media, you're missing out. You need to get to it. But thank you very much for all the feedback. I absolutely love it. And don't forget, our James Show listener meetup is going to be Blue Ribbon Roofing's 2025 WeatherCon, and that's actually happening next weekend. Not tomorrow, but Saturday, April 26th. You're going to come out to the Frontiers of Flight Museum over next to Love Field, and you'll get to meet our chief meteorologist, Brad Barton. You'll get to meet Fox 4's meteorologist, Dan Henry. The whole thing's free. So that's the number one complaint people have. Oh, they just want your money. It's too expensive. No, this one's free. So come on out. There's activities for the kids. There's activities for the adults. There's a whole museum you get to experience. Storm chasing. Storm chasers do presentations. You can see their trucks. You have the National Weather Service that in their theater at the Frontiers of Flight Museum will give you some demonstrations. It's a good time, absolutely free, 9:30 in the morning until 1:30 p.m. Come on out to the Frontiers of Flight Museum for Blue Ribbon Roofing's 2025 WeatherCon. Thank you, Blue Ribbon Roofing, for that one. All right, coming up next, Rob Schneider is going to be on the James Show. Stick around. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, hey there, fellow Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Well, I got a special treat for you now on the James Show. For the first time, it's the star of the video for Billy Got His Beer Goggles on. Rob Schneider's on the James Show. Welcome. I mean, I've heard you've done other things besides that. Now, Saturday Night Live legend, film star, and stand-up comedy is your latest foray. But Rob, you're an interesting person to talk to because of the breadth of your experience. And you are now, I don't want to say you're a political animal, but you've gotten political content out there, and you weren't always political. Did you always have these political underpinnings, or did something bring it out of you?
I didn't know that that half the country would forget which bathroom they're supposed to use. I didn't see that coming either. So we have some people who forgot what women are, and so at a certain point you got to you just can't ignore that there's a real attack on the culture, and it's some of it. I mean, as a comedian, you got to. I think because of the pandemic, the scamdemic that happened, and because of the the attack on free speech, I think you don't realize that when they say your freedom requires eternal vigilance, that's what that means. It means you got to you have to stand up for your culture, and so I believe me, I didn't do it out of any other reason than necessity, because you want to have the same freedoms for your children that we were blessed with, and the greatest, freest experiment in history in the world. And for people who grow up here, whether they don't see it coming, there's real an encroachment. And it's I remember March of 2020, I was one of the first people, me and Dr. Drew Pinsky, that got canceled because of how we said let's not shut down the society over what appears to be flu-like symptoms that are only going to make it the most dangerous for the most vulnerable people. So all this stuff kind of happened, and I think it thrust me into being more political. When they try to attack you, I think that's a natural thing, is to defend yourself. And then when they try to attack your country, I think you'd be an idiot to not defend that. Well, so it's been good, and I think America's definitely headed into a very good place. And I think these tariffs that Trump is putting in is going to have a positive effect. I mean, we have to have a manufacturer base. No industrialized country will survive if they don't make stuff. We can't just be a service country, and we got to get healthy. So, Robert Kennedy's a good buddy of mine, and I really, really enjoy what the Trump administration is doing, and we can't just let another 20 million people in. I mean, I think Americans realize what was happening to their country, that it was being fundamentally shifted and changed, and I think you'd be a fool to not get involved in politics. And everybody says, why are you going to get involved in politics? Politics is the roads you drive on. It's the food you eat. It's the air you breathe. It's the borders that keep your country safe. And if you're not involved in, quote, politics, then you're going to let a bunch of idiots make those decisions for your life and your children's life.
Your story sounds like a few other people that are in the news on a regular basis. Elon Musk spent most of his life just assuming he was on Team Blue till he was basically pushed across the aisle. You could say the same thing for like a Joe Rogan or a Russell Brand or a Ricky Gervais.
The fact that the Democrats, not only they disagree with you, they try to murder you. He has literally 17 full-time bodyguards, and he needs them all. I told him, I said, I think you should double that up. No, that's how crazy these so-called the tolerant left is. That's why I was a liberal for most of my life, a Democrat. Now I have nothing to relate to these people. They are violent lunatics. I love the people going around scratching Teslas. It's like, what? 95% of Teslas are owned by liberals and other Democrats. So it's like you have Democrats that are,
Love it. Yeah.
That are Democrats that are vandalizing other Democrats. It's like, how dare you scratch, agree with me? How dare you? So it's really abject stupidity. And today I was looking at the polls. They're down to 24% approval rating over in the United States. 24%, the Democrats. So that they want to keep violent criminals in the United States. Nobody wants that, not even Democrats.
So you sort of had glimpses of this years ago. I was looking through and doing some research, trying to find out something about you that the people listening don't already know. And I read on your Wikipedia page that you got dropped from State Farm for anti-vaccination views, but that was back in 2014, long before the pandemic, long before RFK was a thing. So it seemed like you didn't change. You've always been this guy.
Well, thank you. Well, what happened was a bunch of several parents came to me in California and said, we have an autistic child. And, when anybody tries to paint like, people on the spectrum, and God bless you if you have a kid who's on the spectrum and he's highly functional, God bless you. However, there are people who have many hundreds of thousands of people in this country. And you got to understand now that the rates of autism is 1 out of every 31 children. And in California, it's 1 out of every 12.5 boys. And these are some of these kids, not a minimum amount, but a lot of these kids are not highly functional. They bang their heads against the wall to relieve the pain that they're in. And they literally, I've seen kids in diapers at 19 years old. And so, you can't unsee it. And the pharmaceutical companies went from 3 shots when I was a kid to now 52 shots of 16 different vaccines, 52 doses of them before the age of 6. So I'm sorry if people say there's no coincidence. It's not just anecdotal. It's not just, correlation. No, it is this. And so we have to admit this. If we're not going to care about the most vulnerable, the most precious, the most important members of our society, our future, our children, and we're just going to ignore this fact that this epidemic that's affecting our kids, then we're not a society that cares about anything. So if it costs me my career in show business, I don't give an SHIT. I'm going to stand up and speak for these kids and we got to get this country healthy. I just got to tell you, we have 77% of young men, Army-age men, that can't qualify for the physical regimen, the physical requirements to join the Army. So we're down to 23%. We have 43% of our nation, 43% of our adults are obese. Obese meaning their body fat is obvious at this point. And we got, we have rheumatoid arthritis with children, childhood diabetes. We have about 1 out of 3 kids that's very, very heavy, bordering on obese. I mean, if we don't get a handle on this, nothing else matters, because we won't have a country that'll afford to have schools, that'll afford to be able to take care of all the roads, because we're heading towards a financial cliff, and that's directly proportional to our health. We don't get a handle on that, James. We don't get a handle on anything. So, yes, it's time for people to stand up and get involved. And I just helped pass legislation in Arizona this week to get rid of these toxic poison dyes and poison chemicals in our lunch programs at schools. So we're going to do that. And then Robert Kennedy and I are going to figure out a way to get phones out of schools. And this is our time. We have to get America healthy. We have to get these kids to stop with the phones. And that's just the beginning of it. We have to get healthy lunches in the lunch programs. So whatever, God has graced us to have somebody like Robert Kennedy who's going to make a change, and he sacrificed so much to be in this the Trump administration, and we got a chance to make America healthy again. And I don't care if that costs me jobs or in Hollywood. I don't care about what the pharmaceutical industry says. The pharmaceutical industry has the biggest lobbyists of anybody. They have more than the military-industrial complex. They have 2,000 lobbyists that lobby congressmen and senators every day for their drugs. Forget about the Mexican drug cartel, James. The pharma drug cartel, that's the real drug cartel. Mexican cartels will make 10 to 15 billion a year, but the pharmaceutical companies, $750 billion a year.
All right, Rob,
for this one class of drugs.
I need to hit pause. There's a lot of people whose jaws dropped on the floor because you didn't know this was what Rob Schneider was like when he's not on the big screen. What do you think he was do? Quote Deuce Bigalow, making copies? No, Rob Schneider's a monster these days. We'll continue with him next, and I'll let you know when he's coming to town coming up on the James Show. Rob Schneider when we continue. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We continue with comedy legend Rob Schneider, who first came on my radar on Saturday Night Live in the early 90s. What were you doing before that? How did you get to Saturday Night Live, Rob?
Well, basically, they get people who are very desperate, who are not really in show business yet. so they get young people on who are, truthfully, just on the verge, but they get really funny people. They get the funniest people to be on that show, and then I was a stand-up, and then all of a sudden, you get on that show. The next thing you're famous. So it's an incredible platform, and they're still doing really good work. I mean, there was some really funny stuff on last week, and so I think they're in the woke era. I think, like any institution, they were susceptible to getting in their own political echo chamber in their own little bubble, but I think they've come out of that well, and they got some really funny, nice people over there. I was just there a month ago for the 50th anniversary, and I'm proud to have been a part of that show, and I wish them to run for another 50 years.
Yeah, and I think they're coming off the wokeism a little bit. Like a couple weeks ago when Jack Black was the host, they did a whole skit making fun of people who virtue signal, which I don't think they would have done 5-6 years ago.
I know. I remember when they had Hillary Clinton, impersonator, just singing a song.
Leonard Cohen. After they lost in 2016. Yeah. That's hilarious.
I said, please have Will Ferrell jump out of the piano at the end and drag or something. But they didn't. And so I think, look, any institution, and Saturday Night Live is an institution. It's susceptible. Everyone's potentially susceptible to be trapped in their own political echo chamber. I'm no exception. Saturday Night Live's no exception. I'm just glad that they're out of it and that they're doing stuff that reflects on the culture. If something seems a little out of whack, that's what we could do as comedians. We could present it to you and say, should we ridicule this? And if they laugh at it, then yes, then it is worthy of ridicule. The problem was, the real collusion wasn't with Trump and Russia. It was with the Biden administration and Facebook and Twitter and Google search engines, and that's been proven because the Twitter files that came out with Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger. So that really showed that the government can collude and can censor people, and that's something that. What the elites trying to shut down the world and big pharma, they didn't count on one thing, James: podcasts and comedians on podcasts. And so we were able to podcast exploded, and thank God for Joe Rogan. And we had great people, Tucker Carlson, for him, and then Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Theo Von, and you had comedians, Jim Brewer, myself. We're traveling around. And then, so it was a whole new. People realized that finally that the legendary, the publications, New York Times, Washington Post, were all crap. CNN was lying to them. Our government was lying to us, and so it's really been great to wake up people, and they and looking for alternative media. Now the media is us.
Well, Rob Schneider, on Fridays at 4:35, we play a game show called Name That Artist. Now, I'm not going to ask you to play, but I would like you to listen to the montage, and after the players make their guess, see if you can fill in some of the gaps that they missed.
Okay.
But I've got to do the giveaway here. We're giving away tickets to the Titanic Experience, which is a cool little exhibit happening here in town just for a limited.
Just saw it.
Oh, you did? Did you go to it? Did you go to the?
No, I saw the Titanic's. These incredible artifacts from the Titanic. It's incredible. It makes you realize, man, they did not have enough lifeboats. That's how I walked out of there going, I want to make sure there's enough lifeboats on anything I'm always on.
All right.
Anyway, but go ahead. Let's do it. All
right. So here's the montage here. And if you want to get tickets to the Titanic Experience, you can go ahead and call in 800-288-9227. But if you know all 10 of these songs, I'm looking for you.
The marching band came down along Main Street. The soldier blues fell in behind. It was a Monday, a day like any other day. I left a small town early apple in decay. I was justified when I was 5. Raising Cain, I spit in your eye. Baby, please, go So I hit the road and made my getaway. My heart is on fire. My soul's like a wheel that's turning. She was blinded by the lights, wrapped up like a douche under the roller in the night. Hello, it's me. I've thought about us for a long, long time. Love will keep us together. Think of me, babe, whenever.
All right, so that is your 10 songs. If you want to try and win tickets to see the Titanic Experience, I'm giving away a pair of tickets next. Call 800-288.
Wow, quite an eclectic group of songs there, James.
I can't take credit for that. Bruce made it this week, and I only got 4 of those.
The last one is Captain and Tennille.
All right, so there's one. There's a cheat one from Rob Schneider. If you can guess the other 9 songs, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Call in, win some tickets, and we'll see how you do compared to Rob Schneider. Next on Name That Artist. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. We're playing a special edition of Name That Artist because my new friend Rob Schneider is in on it. So Rob,
James, I'm gonna make it easier for your listeners. They don't have to name all 9 anymore. I gave you the one.
wait, don't list them all. Don't list them all. Did you write them down?
Okay. I'll just do one more. Manfred Mann.
Dang
With
it.
that one.
All right. Enough of Rob. I'm going to put him back on hold before he ruins the game for everybody. I'm going to play the montage one more time. For all you people on hold, Tony, Erica, and everyone else, if you have a piece of paper or you can open a notepad file on your phone to type all this in, do that. So when I go to you, you can just read them off of the list really quick. But you got 90 seconds to pull this off. Ready? Here we go.
The marching band came down along Main Street. The soldier blues fell in behind. It was a Monday, a day like any other day. I left a small town of the apple in decay. I was justified when I was 5. Raising Cain, I spit in your eye. Baby, please go away. Feel so right being with you here tonight. I must have been through about 1,000,000 girls. I love 'em and I leave 'em alone. Time was drifting, this rocket got to roll. So I hit the road and made my getaway. My heart is on fire. My soul's like a wheel that's turning. She was blinded by the lights, wrapped up like a douche under the roller in the night.
He said douche, didn't he?
It's me.
I think he said douche.
I've thought about us for a long, long time. Love will keep us together. Think of me, babe, whenever.
All right. Apparently, Bruce is trying to kill us with this one. This is for 2 tickets to see the Titanic Experience. It's in Addison for a limited time. But before we get to our contestants here, I haven't even mentioned Rob's events coming up. He's going to be in the area with a lot of shows, not just 1 or 2 here. So the first one that's kind of in our area, and I will count this because there's people who are listening east of us. Shreveport. He's going to be in Shreveport May 2nd. Then he's going to circle all around the place, Lubbock, Amarillo, El Paso, Midland. He'll be back in town. He'll be in Waco May 30th, Fort Worth May 31st, and then back here in Dallas at the Granada June 1st. With that, let's play a little bit of Name That Artist. We'll start with Tony and Denton. You're first up on Name That Artist. You ready, Tony?
Yeah, but I'm going to do poorly.
You're going to do poorly. That's fine. All you got to do is do better than the next guy. Let's go. Ready? Name that artist. Go.
Okay. Let's see. About 3 down is
What? You're not even trying for the first 2.
no. I have no shot.
Dude, don't worry. I didn't know the first one. I knew the second one. Hang on. Let's see if someone can at least get the first one. Ann and Alan, are you ready?
I think so.
Let's hear your list, Ann.
Okay. Mitch Murray, Foreigner.
Whoa, no, not Mitch Murray, but okay, but Foreigner's right. Elton John was right. Keep going.
Eric Carmen,
Wow, I missed that one. Okay, go ahead.
Elvin Bishop,
Yep.
Broderick Johnson,
No, but close. Next.
Gary Wright,
Yep.
Manfred Mann Band, Manfred Band,
Yep.
Todd Rundgren,
Wow, I missed that one too. And
Captain Tennille.
all right, that's pretty impressive. Let's see if we can get a steal from Eric and Mesquite. Eric and Mesquite, did you know the ones that she didn't know?
She got Foreigner,
Yeah.
Elton John, Eric Carmen, Elvin Bishop, Gary Wright, Manfred Mann, Todd Rundgren, Captain Tennille.
Yeah, so I think that goes to Ann then. I think Ann looks like she's our biggest winner. Ann, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. My husband is the one that knows it all, not me.
Well, then I feel like a fraud here. You should have put him on the phone, Ann.
Oh, he's hoarse. He can't talk. He can't talk very good.
That's a likely excuse. Either way, you're going to get 2 tickets to Titanic, the exhibition.
Oh, this is awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, I didn't put the exhibition together. It's at Addison's Pepper Square. You get to go and take some pictures on that staircase that's at the end of the movie. Take a selfie of that and send it to me when you're done, okay? Maybe I'll put it on Facebook or something.
Oh, I will. Okay.
Well, all right. Thank you very much, Ann. Now, for the rest of you, you got to get your own tickets at thetitanicexhibition.com. Thetitanicexhibition.com. So with that, Rob, did you know the 2 that no one else guessed?
Yeah, Adam Ant and Dave Clark 5.
All right. No, Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods was the one of the missed ones. The other one, the Climax Blues Band. I don't even know that band. I didn't know about it until today. All right, Rob Schneider. I asked people,
yes, sir,
that who are in the polymaths out there who do different things, what their favorite is, and whether it's music, movies, plays, or stand up. Everyone says stand up. Do you fit that pattern? Is stand up your favorite venue?
Well, I mean, for me to do, right now I love it because it's so liberating. Because you're not going to see conservative point of view on television. Except the biggest show is Gutfeld, the late night show. But all the other late night shows, it's all, it's all regurgitating the same crap, Like you can take whatever Jimmy Fallon says and shove it in the mouth of Jimmy Kimmel, and then whatever is dribbling out of his mouth, you can put in Stephen Colbert. It doesn't matter. So, it's nice when people come see me, they get to hear a different point of view, which is great. And, the greats, like there's Chris Rock, Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, those guys are, traditional liberals, but they also comment on the same stuff that's the same attack on our culture that I am. But stand-up comedy's taken over rock and roll, in my opinion. It is it's more popular than ever. And it's because I think people want to hear what's happening in their culture and see if they think it's just as crazy as what they're experiencing.
Right.
And that's been awesome, and that's been a lot of fun.
And I think that's a great comparison, comparing it to rock and roll or live music. Because when you go to see live music, rather than listening to it on your phone or on a CD or whatever records you got, there's sort of like a dopamine hit that you get from the experience. Now, comedy does the same thing. It's just a little more cerebral. So I think that's a great comparison. We will continue one more segment with the great Rob Schneider next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3, continuing with comedy legend Rob Schneider. And if you're a big fan, you have a chance to come see him here locally. First off, if you're over in East Texas, he's going to be in Shreveport May 2nd at the Shreveport Municipal Auditorium, and then he'll be circling back around in our area, starting off in Waco at the Hippodrome, which there's not a horse track there. It's just called the Hippodrome. May 30th, May 31st, he's in Fort Worth at the Ridgely Theater. And June 1st, here in Dallas, he'll be at the Granada. Now, Rob Schneider, something I learned about you way late after the fact is that your daughter's Elle King. And I didn't know this until well after she was already famous and decorated and won some awards. And I saw some post, and I didn't even believe it for like a year after someone told me that y'all were related. And then finally one day I had to look it up. And what's that like? To have a kid that successful? Your heart must be bursting as a father.
Well, she's such a talent, and I'm really proud of her. And it's tough to be, a kid trying to make it in entertainment with your dad's already, famous. You want to carve out your own journey. When you're a kid, you got to, you're trying to figure out who's your real friends or. So she's done it, and she's great, and she's a real talent, and I look forward to. She's got pop music coming out. She's got more country music coming out. So I'm really proud of her. Now I know how tough show business is. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but if you love it and you want to express yourself, and if you have a talent in music or the arts, you got to do it.
Right, and she didn't play the name card at all. I saw her 2 years ago in 2023 with Chris Stapleton. And she came out and she would play guitar one song, she'd play banjo another song, and then maybe one song here, I'll play the mandolin. So she's not just some girl who decided I want to sing and be famous. She's a musician with chops. So my kids are starting to get into music and stuff, and the better they get, it makes my heart explode. So I figure you're in the same boat on that.
Yeah, music. Music is emotional math. And, there's people, I remember when I said the killer, Jerry Lee Lewis, he couldn't even speak. Couldn't communicate very, but as soon as the piano came out, the great balls of fire, because it's a different place in the brain, and it really does something that everybody has the song that you love that brings you back to a certain time. So music's powerful. Like every comedian wishes they had the same power that a musician has, and I know every musician wants to be a comedian or an actor, but only the Beatles and stuff like that, or Michael Jackson, or get that kind of people that they remember forever. So music has a power.
All right, Rob Schneider, I'm going to play the audience a clip of you from America Fest just a few months ago. I love this little line of jokes. And
if President Trump wants to make Canada the 51st state, one stipulation, at least one of the senators has to be a moose. Well, thanks to the Democrats, we may not know what women are, but at least we now know what women are not. Qualified to be in charge of the Secret Service. I've seen more competent female Ghostbusters, frankly.
All right. Now, that's offensive, and it's not politically correct, but I think you can get away with that because it's funny.
It's a joke, and people get upset for jokes. And, the thing about canceling people is instead of going out of your way to cancel them, you just do this other thing that used to happen decades ago. It's just, hey, how about not listening to it or listen to something else? Turn it down. Switch the channel. Whatever. Instead of going out of your way to And so I instead of giving into the cancel culture, I went directly into it. And, everybody knows that the Secret Service screwed that up, and it shouldn't be run by some dumb woman whose last job, the Biden administration, which was a complete, utter joke. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's get the best people for their job. I don't care who you sleep with or what your genitalia is. I want the best person. And the person who was the head of the Secret Service, her last job was the head of security at Pepsi. So, that ain't doing it,
Yeah, no one's trying to assassinate a Mountain Dew. Listen, we're about out of time.
That's what I said. I said, the Secret Service, they can stop anything except a slightly sloped roof.
There you go. All right, Rob Schneider, he's going to be in Shreveport May 2nd, circle back around Waco May 30th, Fort Worth, May 31st, Dallas, June 1st. I wish I had more time with you, but I appreciate you sticking around for a whole hour. Super cool. Thank you, Rob Schneider.
No, thank you for having me. It's a fun show. You guys have come out. It's not going to be just politics. I talk mostly about how my wife hates me. So we'll do that. And,
That's fantastic.
It's fun.
I think a lot of us can relate to that.
And go to robschneider.com and check the dates, and then we'll see you there soon. Thanks, James, for having me.
I will definitely be at the Dallas one, Rob. I appreciate that so much. All right, thank you very much. That's going to do it for the James Show. Stick around. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin. In the meantime, if you need more James Show action in your life, go check out the podcast. It's at WBAP.com, WBAP app, or whatever app you're already using to listen to podcasts. And also, you can check out the video feeds on our social media. Like it, love it, live it, share it out. I got kids. I want them to go to college. Help a brother out. I'm James Parker. Go have a good weekend. This has been The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.